Two Poor Bastards contains explicit content and drunken ramblings. Listener discretion is advised. You were listening to Two Poor Bastards, where two friends get drunk, talk whiskey, and their favorite pop culture obsessions. This is Eric.
This is Kyle.
This is Jam.
Yes. And Jam is joining us for this episode. We're going to get into Eagle Rare, also Angel's Envy. We're going to talk about Annihilation and the new series Who is America. So, Kyle, would you like to get into the Eagle Rare?
I'll start us out, but we got a special guest, and they brought us a very special whiskey, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
It's very kind. I like whiskey.
I'm okay with it. It's something I'm all right with. So, Eagle Rare, this is one of my staples, one of my favorites, something that I like to keep on hand at all times.
Yes.
This is one of the ones that uses, if I remember correctly, Buffalo Trace's high rye mash bill. And this is also one of the ones that may be getting affected by the disappearing age statements. So once upon a time, Eagle Rare is known as a 10-year-old bourbon. On the neck up by the label where the cap is, it used to have a big number 10, indicating that it's 10 years old.
Right.
And since then, just like Elijah Craig before it completely axed the age statement altogether, it has been moved to small text on the back of the bottle.
So basically they're transitioning, getting us ready emotionally for the age statement to disappear altogether.
Perhaps, but I'd be real surprised and happy if they didn't. I'd be fine with that but like I've said before, age doesn't always make a better whiskey. But it's like if it's something you've come to expect for so long,
right?
That change is sad.
But with bourbon, at least there's some sort of minimum aging per law.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be any younger than 4 years old.
Yeah.
But if they use something that was 4 years old in comparison to what they are using right now, the change in taste would probably be pretty radical, and I think a lot of people would be upset.
Yeah, I would not be for a younger Eagle Rare, and as you said, it's one of my staples. I always have a bottle.
They'd have to call it Eagle Common at that point.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
You know what? You should lobby for that if it does in fact happen. Like
Sparrow Common. Drink this. This is everywhere. It does. There's nothing special about it at all. Freedom doesn't ring when you drink this shit.
So let me get into a little bit of history for Eagle Rare. So it is distilled and distributed by Buffalo Trace Distilleries. It's 90 proof. It's aged at 10 or 17 years. I've not had a 17-year.
I have had it on 2 occasions. It's part of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, so it comes out every fall. The one that I had was very musty and not cool.
Basement-y is what you're talking about.
Yeah, basements that like grandma.
Gotcha.
Grandma's house.
It tastes like your grandma's basement.
Without the ribbon candy.
Or the cake donuts. All right, so this was introduced in 1975.
Dude, I love cake donuts.
So do I.
Okay, so you weren't knocking on them.
No, I wasn't knocking them at all. I love cake donuts.
Okay.
If I eat donuts, I prefer them to not have any shit on them at all. Like
Me too. I want a plain cake donut.
Yeah, those are great. And then you put that shit in coffee, and I know you don't drink coffee. Shame on you. But
What?
Cake donuts and
coffee.
coffee are amazing.
What if I dipped a cake donut in some whiskey?
I would eat that.
That'd probably
I
be
would
good.
too.
No doubt.
It's like a rum cake, but better.
There are bourbon glazed donuts, so I imagine it would be pretty.
But I
Pretty
feel
good.
like that gets. Does that get cooked out of it at some point? I don't. What's the
I'm not a
glazing
master
process?
baker, so I can't answer that for you.
We will. We'll have to dig into that and address it in a later episode. Eagle Rare was originally 101 proof, 10-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon, not from a single barrel, from Seagram originally. So they're the people that actually introduced it. So it was created by master distiller Charles L. Beam, And it was the last of the new brands introduced prior to the current era of small batch bourbons. Eagle Rare has been distilled, bottled, and or marketed by a number of companies, including Old Prentice Distillery. The Sazerac Company acquired Eagle Rare in 1989. At the time, the distillery was known as the George T. Stagg Distillery, and now it's known as Buffalo Trace, and it's under the Buffalo Trace umbrella. So Buffalo Trace is one of the distilleries owned by the Sazerac Company.
Yes.
It's interesting, doing a little bit of research for this, that they're mostly known for cheap boozes.
Like what? Dr. McGillicuddy's
Yes.
or some shit like that?
Exactly.
Really?
That is one of their brands, Sazerac. So
Okay, you know what? That makes sense because like a while back as I was looking into things and how allocated stuff was and how some distributors favored some people over the others. Like if you bought a lot of garbage and the person was saying Dr. McGillicuddy's, like I just assumed that maybe he's like, here, buy this shit, a lot of it, and then we'll slide you some of the good bottles. But that's literally, buy that shit that they make, and you'll get some of the good shit that they
that's
make.
exactly right. So that it's all coming together because when we go to West 7th Liquor Barrel, the guy keeps talking about buying just the shit in order to get the good stuff.
God, it's so sad because no one is buying the shit. I don't know. There's a lot of homeless people in the area. Maybe
Yo,
they're
he's
going
selling
and
the
buying
shit out of
that.
it. Like he's obviously doing really well because he has stackouts of Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare, which I don't see.
That's true. It's not anywhere else. Right
anywhere
now.
else. So he must be hawking enough cheap booze to.
Is that the only liquor store you two frequent?
It's the best one, and we're part of the liquor club or
Is
the
that why
whiskey
he
club.
asks you to stock the shelves and begs you to get
Well,
a
that's just one of the
haircut?
rando guys there that
Oh.
might be mentally challenged.
So you're saying I
He's
should
a
go
very,
there?
he's a very interesting gentleman, and he will have a conversation with you whether you want it or not.
Right. About any random topic, about your appearance.
He keeps asking to cut my hair.
Yeah, he almost poked my eye out. He asked me to stock his shelves. That was one of them because he was complaining, and I don't want to get him in trouble now, but he was groaning a little bit that he had to do some work because the boss was going to be back in town. So he'll just tell
So
you.
you just keep going back.
My life is rough.
Yeah, he's just like he'll do, whatever's going on in his life, he's gonna let you know what's happening, and it's part of his charm. But they legitimately have the best whiskey collection that you can get in the city.
That's available.
That's available, yeah. So
You
there's
can
been
actually go buy something.
yeah, there's been a few things that I have like. So I got a barrel proof Colonel Taylor, but that, as you said, is like the only one you've ever seen in the state.
Yeah, I have never seen one for sale on the shelf. I've never seen one in any type of lottery or anything like that. I've never seen the barrel proof. Excuse me. I've never seen the 4-grain. I've never seen the Tornado Survivor. I've never seen any of the other weird variants. So it's just like that one's supposed to be more common, yet still I've never seen it.
Yeah, so this was one of my hobbies on my days off is I go to random liquor stores and see what I can find and scope it out because I'm looking for not necessarily like rare stuff, but like if you go to like undershopped liquor stores, you'll be able to find like Elijah Craig with the age statement on it. So it's just like finding like an age stated Japanese whiskey. And that's
This is great. It's like I'm seeing the progress as a whiskey fan, like quickly in motion. This is like when I first started out, I was, always constantly on the hunt, going to every liquor store I can. And then when like the crushing depression of never being able to get anything finally set in, I kind of gave up on that. But you're still like in it to win it.
definitely.
Getting stuff.
I'm gonna. Well, number one.
Well, you know what? You did good because you got something that I've never got before, and I'm jealous.
See, you don't know until you try, and so that's what I do. I go out there and see. I strike out most of the time, but every now and again you hit something. So it's not necessarily about I realize I'm never going to get a bottle of Blanton's or Pappy Van Winkle. Number one, it's
Don't say that because
now because they only come out certain times a year,
right.
and it's highly allocated.
But
So,
if we go to tastings where they do raffles, then your chances are there.
I don't understand how you have as many bottles of Blanton's as you do.
It's hustling, baby. Hustling. Like, most of those I've had for years. Like, they're dated 2015, 2016. So I got them a while ago, but I've been slowly going through them. because I know I can't replace them. And, well, 3 of them, the ones that you can't get in America, well, of course, I had to buy from overseas, so there is some secondary market action going on there. So there's that. I mean, if you're willing to pay the money, you can get anything you want at any time. You just have to be ready to bend over and just take it.
I'm not at that state in my life where I'm ready to bend over and take it for a bottle of.
Well, you taste the right one, and you'll be there.
You'll do whatever
when
it
you
takes.
when you meet the right one,
You'll be willing to do whatever it takes.
yeah,
Okay. I want some Pappy. That's what I want.
it's not that great.
Really?
I will tell you right now.
So I hear the Elmer, what is it? Weller is supposed to be common to Pappy flavor
So,
profile.
Weller 12 year should be typically about the same as the 12 year Van Winkle Lot B is what they call it.
Okay.
The 10 year is called Old Rip Van Winkle. And then there is the 15 year Pappy, the 20 year Pappy, and the 23 year Pappy. So this, I think I said it before on one of the episodes, but this previous year's release, the 2017, the 10 year was good. The 12 through the 20 year was fucking awful, and the 23 year was interesting. I wouldn't say it was great, but it was very interesting.
That's not a good adjective to put to a whiskey. That's a Minnesotan for not good, typically.
I was really hoping that I would be one of the first people picked in the raffle, so I could instantly skip all the expensive ones that people like to sell on the aftermarket, or they just think are good because they're older, and be like, give me the 10 year, the cheapest one, because that was the best tasting one. And fuck all y'all if you think otherwise.
All right. So, Jam,
Yes,
you brought a little piece in for us.
I did.
So, we'll get into that. First, we're going to go over the scent and the flavor profile of this Eagle Rare.
Yeah,
And then
we're going to
we'll
get back to this Eagle Rare that I've just
Yeah.
been drinking on.
So, let's get
I'm
to
gonna
it.
take a sniff. So instantly I smell something that I can't describe what it is.
That's my problem. Is
It smells like Eagle Rare. I mean, if you've...
I'm really getting this really great Eagle Rare smell. What are you getting? What are you picking up? There's no wrong words.
It's a little smoky. There's a smoky undertone. It smells silky. Is that a thing? Can something smell like it feels?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
There are no wrong adjectives. It's whatever you.
I'm almost getting old school taffy smell too from it.
I don't get that.
I'm just. I don't. It just smells like Eagle Rare, so I'm just gonna drink it. That's what I'm gonna get into.
And
Some woodiness.
thus is the worst description I've ever given for a whiskey. It smells like what it is.
The common pigeon.
Yes, but maybe it's because I've drank so much of it that I'm dead to all the new experiences that I could get from it.
But you would think that you would be able to whip out all of the various notes just like that off the top of your head.
let me tell you a story about Eagle Rare.
Oh, please do.
I had a barrel pick of Eagle Rare.
Okay.
Happened to be 11 years old, so it was for a specific liquor store. I'll leave them unnamed because I frequent the place quite often and I do kind of like it.
Okay.
And that's where I go for most of my tastings.
So I have an okay. Yep.
But it was absolutely disgusting. It tasted like dirt and just licking a regular popsicle stick without anything on it. Just the basic, terrible, cheap wood that it would have been. Awful. Just bright dirt. Just blowing through your mouth. And it's ooh, they were promoting it as this is 11 years. It's even older than normal. It's even better. But the scary thing is usually when you do a tasting to select a barrel, if you're doing a barrel pick, you are doing at least 3 things. So you're tasting 3 different ones.
Right.
What were the other 2 that made them pick this awful one that ended up being their store pick?
So when they do a barrel pick, do they just get it straight out the barrel and it's not diluted down at all, or do they?
Well, there's a couple ways that it can be done. One is that way, and usually you have to actually go to the distillery to sample the barrels in person. More commonly, what happens is a distillery will send you 3 samples, put them to proof, and you sample these 3 and then pick one of them, and that's your barrel pick.
So someone chose Bright Dirt over some other stuff.
Right, but what if these other ones were even fucking worse? That's what's really scary, because it was terrible. It was so completely awful.
Did you like pour it? Like, what'd you do with that bottle?
I forced myself to drink them because I went and I bought two bottles because I was like,
Holy
store
shit.
pick, here we go.
Yeah.
And I am used to Liquor Barrel store picks where
Right.
they have been some of the best that I've had. So I was like, how could this be bad? Someone who knows what they're doing has to be picking out something good. So I'm just going to go and do it because I know if I don't get 2 of them now, I'm not going to get one again because they sold out within like a day and a half when they had it. They also do online sales, so that's part of it too. Oh man, would I be really disappointed to be one of those people online who bought it, especially if they live like way far away. They tried it, they're like, oh, this is awful. But it was also my mistake because they do offer samples at this particular store. So I didn't even taste it because I was like, I'm in a hurry, I'm grabbing these 2 and I'm getting out of here because I have somewhere to be. And they're kind of way out of the way.
Yes, and I know actually exactly what one you're talking about. And they've got
I do
weird
not.
they've got weird hours of operation.
I'll tell you after the episode.
They advertise themselves as having
Oh, now we're just giving it away if you say
Oh.
that.
Well, we're not going to mention them by name, so but they tout themselves as being a grand selection of fine spirits.
Every whiskey that's available in the state they carry.
But
Maybe whoever picked it out had pica.
Fuck, my mind is blown at this point because maybe you're right. It's like I am craving
Legitimate
dirt.
thought. Yes.
that's a sad. Maybe they're. Well, I was going to say maybe they're
You know what?
pregnant.
This is
but-
I was thinking that too.
this
Maybe
is
a
the whiskey
pregnant woman with pica.
for people with pica. It wasn't for me. It was for someone else. That's what the problem was.
Was that my problem with that Woodford Reserve?
I don't know if that was for
Problem
anyone.
is, you do not have pica.
Yeah, I gave that bottle away. Just so you know, I found someone who was a sucker and took it from me,
That
but
poor bastard.
they actually liked it.
What the fuck is wrong with that
I
person?
don't know. It's incredible.
Sometimes you just need some alcohol in you.
I guess. So
Or you've never tasted something better.
Yeah, you've been drinking Dr. McGillicuddy.
Anything will taste good.
I was sold on getting this special rare bottle of Woodford Reserves, or a limited quantity. This guy only had gotten maybe a couple cases. Like, you better get it before,
I think you said 6 bottles. So
Something
that was
like
maybe
that.
a case. If
If.
I don't know.
So I bought it, and we were really excited. We're gonna taste it. It tasted like, to me, iodine and vegetable oil.
That sounds fucking
It tastes
terrible.
like used vegetable oil is really what it tasted like.
It was awful.
It was terrible. I had a hard time choking it down.
Well, I dumped it. I said, you're not drinking that anymore. Done.
And then we had that good shit.
Yeah, then we had the good shit. The Avalora, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we went to? Yeah. Anyways, flavor profile of this. Oh, hi, Kat. I'm having a hard time. It's not... So I'm used to the higher proof whiskeys we've been drinking, so it's a very soft, velvety...
May you say smooth.
Yes. It's smooth. There's a lot. It doesn't really. There's nothing really that comes out and just punches you. There's not.
It's a bit on the oaky side. It's more oaky
It is
than any of the other whiskeys that are usual releases from Buffalo Trace. I'd say this one, as far as being able to tell the age on it, it's most prominent in this one because of how much wood you do taste.
Yeah.
How much does this go for a bottle?
This is usually around 30 to 33, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So not ridiculous, especially for a 10-year whiskey.
Yeah, and that's why
That's very reasonable.
we go to West 7th, because like say a Total Wine, they'll have this, but they'll get maybe a few bottles and it's gone like super quick.
Yeah,
So they'll have like Buffalo
Total
Trace.
Wine forever.
I did see it at the Roseville one, like maybe a couple weeks ago. But then the next time they had come in, it was wiped off the shelf. There's nothing there. So they'll have Buffalo Trace sometimes. So like Liquor Barrel is like, if you want to have this or Buffalo Trace, and they're again, they're very reasonably priced for what they are, and that's why we go, because they have it and it's good
And they're
stuff.
close by.
And they're close by. Yeah,
And the staff is weird.
yeah.
Are they paying you to do this podcast?
No.
They aren't. But they're taking care
This is
of
free
these
advertising.
Yeah, they take care of us.
We basically instantaneously got into the whiskey club. I mean, I've been buying stuff from there for a long time in large quantities. But this guy just rolls right in and is like, hey, put me in the whiskey club. And they did.
Yeah.
I was like, what the
course you
fuck? I've
did.
been hustling for years trying to do this shit. And he goes right in.
Yep.
And then I went in and I had to talk to him and be like, did you get the email? Yes, I got the email.
All right.
He was a little more apprehensive on adding me to the
He was
club than you.
He was really excited. He's like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do tastings. I'm like, yeah. He was hustling me to join this club.
I don't understand how that works.
Maybe I'm just cuter. I don't know.
Maybe.
So anyways, what jam is your piece to this?
It's good.
It's good.
It's
You like
good.
You sound like a pro. Through the
Definitely not a pro.
through the life cycle of whiskey.
Yes.
Like you end with it's good whiskey.
Yeah.
It is good.
And for the price point, I think, you really can't go wrong with it. 10 years. Yeah, there it is. 10 years around the back of the bottle.
I'm biased. I mean, everything that comes out of Buffalo Trace I like. That's my favorite distillery. Their flavor profiles are
What do you
what I like
think
the
of
most.
Ancient Age?
I haven't had a chance to have it yet because we don't get it in Minnesota.
Isn't it? It's supposed to be their lowest. Isn't it their lowest grade of?
Maybe, but there's different versions. Like there are like older aged ones. I mean, you see Ancient Age, and then there's like Ancient Age 10, but it's not really 10 years. But like 10, they have like 10 stars
10
on it, if I remember right.
Schlitzes.
The last tasting that I was at that was for the Pappy, they had one bottle of Ancient Age to raffle away because that's the only one that they got and the only one that they ever got. So
Interesting.
it's so weird.
Yeah, I don't really understand the Buffalo Trace.
So I don't know. Maybe it's cheap. It uses the same mash bill as all the other stuff that they use because they only have 2 for bourbons and then whatever they have for ryes. But
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Bourbon.
It's supposed to be their lowest grade of.
I would definitely try it if somebody wants to send us a sample. Please
Yeah,
do.
please. Yeah, I'll drink some Ancient Age. All right, so it's good. You enjoy
it's good.
it.
Yes.
So you brought us a bottle here,
I did.
and it's exciting. I haven't had this yet.
I brought you a bottle of Angel's Envy.
Ooh.
So this is from the cellars of Lincoln, and I can't read his last name. I don't know what that says.
Just go ahead.
Heckerson. It's Lincoln Heckerson. He is a master distiller.
You should hear me pronounce Japanese names. So
It's
Oh,
frightening.
it came with a little book that I can read you. After 40 years spent upholding bourbon. No, I'm not going to read that to you. So, yes,
Tell me a
it's
bedtime
actually
story.
Henderson. So it's from the cellars of Lincoln Henderson, and he involved his sons, and so it's a family affair. It is distilled in Kentucky. So it's small batch, hand-blended batches of 8 to 12 barrels at a time, and typically for around 6 years. And so the interesting thing about Angel's Envy is that they hand-select the finishing barrels, and that it's finished in ruby port wine casks. So I like to think of it as more of a dessert bourbon. because you can really taste those port wine finishes. The other interesting thing is that the barrels are French oak and they're imported directly from Portugal, so that's kind of neat.
I like that. I'm all about
I
that.
didn't even know they had oak trees in Portugal, but maybe we're like probably just cutting them down here and sending them there, and then they're sending them back in the form
Probably.
of barrels. Yeah, so it's kind of counterintuitive.
But they put their wine locally produced there into those barrels, so it's still
True.
special.
Yeah.
I'm
Still
ready
special.
for this.
So the appearance is a gold color laced with reddish amber hues, nearly copper in tone.
I'll agree with that statement.
I would definitely call it copper. Definitely.
The nose, you'll detect notes of subtle vanilla, raisins, maple syrup, and toasted nuts. That's probably why I like it so much, because I have the palate of like an 80-year-old woman, and I fucking love raisins.
I like white
prunes.
So
And prunes and sour cream and raisin pie. And
if you come back on the show, I have some whiskey where you can definitely taste white raisin in it. So
I
I'm really
probably
excited
love
for
that.
you to have it. So please come back.
I would love to come back. So the palate is vanilla, ripe fruit, maple syrup, toast, and bitter chocolate. So you'll have to taste it and see if you...
So I saw that toast thing.
that
It's like, what kind of
toast.
toast? What bread are we talking about?
Is
Are there
it rye?
toppings?
Honestly,
Is it
I don't know if I
wheat?
typed that right.
It says the same thing
Oh,
on the
in the
little
book?
book that comes with it too.
Oh, here.
Yes, I read that
So
earlier.
So my coworker, who I was telling about earlier off the air, thinks that I sound like Mickey Mouse, and his favorite thing for me to say is, "Oh, toast." So that kind of toast.
I'll toast to that shit.
Yeah, I'll toast right to that shit. So I definitely get the, cheers.
Toasting yourself.
I mean, I actually kind of smelled the chocolate. Mm-hmm. So
It definitely has a candy smell to it. It's very pronounced and out there. And
It's sweet. There's a sweet smell to it.
you can smell how sweet it is, and that's unlike any other whiskey that I've had before. Whether it's bourbon or Scotch or Irish or Japanese, anything. This is very unique smelling.
it's definitely pleasant.
There's not as much of a burn when you smell it either. Like sometimes you can like feel that heat.
Almost marshmallowy too.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. It's
Burnt
toasted
marshmallow.
marshmallows.
Yes, toasted
And
Ooh.
not like a fucking piece of bread.
I like that better. You should write them and tell them.
We'll make a note here.
I'm gonna taste this because I have not had this. I've been excited to try it for quite a while, and there's a few other variants. There is a cask strength Angel's Envy, and then there's a rye, and the rye seems to be the hardest to find out of all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm a big rye boy, so it's
Yes.
like I really want to try that because I love rye whiskey
I haven't
so
tried the
much.
rye. I'm more of a bourbon guy. The finish is supposed to be clean and lingering sweetness with a hint of Madeira that will slowly fade.
That's how I describe my finish.
Sweet and lingering.
Whenever I finish, it was right on time. No, it was terrible. I'm sorry.
Okay, I have a joke for you all. What is the difference between a frog and a horny toad?
I don't know. Please tell.
One says ribbit, ribbit, and the other one says rub it, rub it.
I like that.
Touche.
Now
Speaking of Madeira finishes, and
Yeah,
I feel like I have to tell a joke now too.
please do.
And I'm not one for, like premeditated jokes. I usually like to live in the moment and make
Yes.
my funny off of that. But this is one joke that I have found to be, really, really good and really to my liking. Is how did the redneck find his sister in the woods?
Oh, I have no idea, but I know it's going to be
this is
good.
going.
Attractive.
Oh,
Incest jokes.
much more tame than I expected.
I mean, it's
That pleases me.
The rest you can make up if you want to go that way, if you're that type of person.
I am not.
All right, I'm going to talk about how this tastes
Yes,
now.
talk about it.
So, taking a sip of it, it feels, to me, like it might be a lower proof. I never took a look on
I didn't
the
talk about the
bottle.
proof yet. Enlighten us.
It is 86.6, so 43.3% alcohol.
3%.
All right, so that is a little lower.
But I would almost say that it feels
Lower than that.
considerably lower than that.
Yeah, it's not. I would dare say it's very smooth.
The word I'm thinking of is gentle.
Gentle.
Yeah, like a caress.
Like an angel wing.
It's a silky, satiny
Silky caress.
caress upon my palate that I cannot resist.
Wow, that is the best endorsement I've ever heard you give.
It is a bit on the sweet side for my usual tastes.
Yeah.
But I'm not disgusted like I was with the Russell's Reserve It, how sweet it was. Which is really strange because this one, I'm getting way more of a candy feel from than I would from that. This is definitely a dessert drink, if I would call it one thing.
I generally don't like sweet, but I do like this. And I would much rather have a glass of this after dinner than port wine.
I agree with you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't like wine.
Yeah. That shit makes me sleepy.
Although I do like champagne, so I don't know what the deal is there.
No comment.
Wow. There's potential.
I just made an enemy. Maybe Jam won't be back for another episode.
I will, if someone
Maybe I will.
hands me a glass of champagne, I will drink it because it's booze. But it's not like I'll be like, this is amazing.
If somebody handed me a glass of champagne, I would say, oh shit, champagne. The party starts now.
Which is so strange because it's
Really, it is.
no
I don't
alcohol
underst-
content. It is just fizzy wine.
Sugar.
I don't understand
Bubbly
it.
And
sugar.
holy shit. And you just pointed out the thing. You don't like sweet things and you like champagne.
I like a dry champagne, not a sweet champagne.
Oh.
They are sometimes very sour.
And sour too, much like my
Yeah.
personality.
Much
Give me
like
my
my favorite
champ.
pie.
This is definitely a different, like radically different taste from what I'm used to in
Yeah.
normal bourbons. Is
I
this
think
still?
the finish is what's most different about it for me.
I mean, I have to say, is this it is considered a bourbon.
It
I just
is.
wanted to see if maybe they called it a whiskey.
Nope. I only drink bourbon.
And that's why you're on the show.
Yeah. I'm not really a huge rye fan. And I fucking hate Canadian whiskey. I'll tell you that right now. It's garbage.
Okay, you know what? That's fair because I talk about like which regions I like whiskey from, and I never even include Canada because
It would be a
I
huge
don't.
mistake.
But a lot of the Whistle Pig was Canadian sourced.
I did read that.
I mean, they're starting to grow their own rye. They're starting to do their own distilling. But everything that you're going to get now is stuff that they've purchased from another distiller in Canada
Interesting.
and aged themselves.
I feel like Whistle Pig is one where you have to be in the mood to drink it. Like, it's not something that I ever sit down and I'm like, I want to sip this tonight. Like, I have to be in a very particular mood.
I've never had it, so I wouldn't know.
I'll bring that next time.
Okay.
I feel like it's kind of heavy.
I want to make you drink like a scotch or something else since you say you only drink bourbon.
I really don't like scotch, but
We have one that you will like.
are you
Yeah.
sure?
We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. We can't
brought
say
us
it.
this.
I think you're making assumptions.
I make an assumption based off of the fact that you brought us this. So Avalora is also double-aged in wine casks. But it's a little more, it's, at least the 16 year is much more,
If we had more
Wine.
16 year, I would definitely say that. But we are out of 16 year.
you know what I'm considering? And I'm like, every time I go to the liquor store, like I heavily consider getting a bottle of the 18.
16?
18, there's an 18 year Avalora.
Where? Not here.
Total Wine, yes there is. It's $119.
I haven't seen that.
Worth it.
This must be a new development.
Yeah, so I look at it and I'm like, do I want to spend that much money today? Because I can get 2 bottles instead of 1 for that price. But the 16-year is amazing.
Was your dog making noise? Is that what I hear?
Yeah.
I'm just going to...
Does it make me less of a person if I mostly just drink bullet bourbon?
No, see...
That is my go-to.
What really got me into whiskey was Bullet Rye.
Ah, okay.
That was my big introduction.
Same.
So, I started with... I did do bullet bourbon, but it just didn't quite hit the right thing for me. But then when I tried the rye, I was like, I'm a spicy boy. So
I feel like it was opposite for me, so apparently I'm not a spicy boy. This is like deductive reasoning, so if I go the other direction from the rye to the bourbon, I'm a mild
it's totally
guy.
fair. And from what I hear, the bullet bourbon is 4 roses distilled.
Yes, I do believe you're correct on that one. Wasn't there a big controversy with the rye?
Not quite with the rye.
All right, so let's dive into Annihilation. Neither one of you have seen it, which is sad to me.
I haven't seen it. I really wanted to go to the theater to see it, but
Me too.
Our schedules
Yes.
are completely awful.
Right.
So nothing ever works out. And it's amazing that we can record episodes because of how bad our schedules are. And then the other one was I couldn't find anyone to go see it with me.
So
And it was free.
It's one of those things that like I had seen it and I know that like, oh, it's from the guy who made X. Now, help me on this. Is it Machina or Machina?
Machina.
Machina. Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Well, from
Ex
the guy.
Machina, though I only think that because of the Smashing Pumpkins album that was also called Machina. So
doing a little bit of the research, the guy who made the movie says it's Machina.
Okay.
So, but I've seen that in other contexts.
But what about the game that uses that same word as its final thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I don't.
Deus Ex Machina.
Right. That's the struggle. Is it tomato? I guess. So,
I
anyways,
love tomatoes. By the way, it's my favorite food.
what? I fucking hate them.
A lot of people do. If I could pick one food item to be the only thing I ate for the rest of my life, it would be a tomato.
tomatoes?
Are you serious?
I am totally serious.
Holy shit!
There's something very wrong with that. I think you would end up with a lot of ulcers if that's all you ate.
It's
His life is an ulcer.
if it accelerated
Entire
the
existence
amount
is
of
an
time that I have left on this world, I would embrace it fully.
Do you eat them like they're apples, where you just take
Yes,
a bite?
I've done that
Okay.
before.
Yeah.
I only like them cooked in stuff like a sauce or sun-dried. Or, that's it.
I hate them cooked. So last night I was.
So you don't
eating-
like them at all?
No,
don't like tomato
I like
sauce?
raw tomatoes. But last night we had some Blue Apron dish that was like, I don't know, but there was cooked tomatoes involved, and I felt like I was eating a burn victim. Like the skin gets so weird that I felt like I was eating like a burn blister that just like falls off like the body of the tomato.
So let me clarify. I like sun-dried tomatoes and things,
Yeah.
or it's totally pureed in a sauce.
Pureed is fine. Sun-dried is fine.
See,
But
and
like
that's it. That's
just
my
cooked
only.
tomatoes, like tomatoes
I
on
won't do it.
pizza. Fuck no.
Oh, I love tomatoes on a pizza.
Oh, I can't do it.
Are you one of those fuckers who eats margarita pizzas?
That I can't do. I can't do that.
No, because that's too plain.
Correct. That's the correct answer.
I'm not an Italian, so I don't want that. I want like lots of shit on my pizza, but mostly vegetables. I think
Mostly
meat.
tomatoes.
I mean, honestly, yes, I could go for that. But I want like my ideal pizza is all vegetables. I don't like meat on my pizza. I can totally deal with meat on my pizza, but I feel like that and the grease that comes off of it just kind of throws it off. All vegetables, my ideal pizza.
Is tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
Yes. Exactly. I will. It's both.
Okay.
That's why I said yes.
Okay.
It's like, here's something that was brought up to me. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, I'm not getting into that shit.
A singular hot dog or like a hot dog in a bun?
A hot dog in a bun.
I suppose that would be a sandwich.
Right.
Okay, you agree with the sandwich expert that they had come in and give like the complete verification of it. So yes, they call it a sandwich.
I would say anything sandwiched between two buns is a sandwich.
But it's
Dog
not
in
really
between two
sandwiched
buns
between.
Is a sandwich. Anal sex is a sandwich.
I was always wondering that.
I
Thank you
love
for clarifying.
sandwiches. But a hot dog is like cradled more than sandwiched because it's held within 3/4 of something.
Some people
Is it an
don't
open-
have buns.
Is it an open face sandwich?
Is it a loose meat sandwich?
Definitely not open faced. Only one piece of bread involved in open faced.
If you cut a bun
That would
open,
just be like a piece of bread with a dog on top.
Which sometimes I do.
That's weird.
You fold the bread around the hot dog.
that sounds really depressing. Do you eat it in the dark under a single like exposed light bulb?
Do you put macaroni and cheese on it
And then
Do
I
you
cry.
put it in macaroni and cheese?
with ketchup?
Oh, that's the worst sin ever. Adding ketchup to some things is probably it's up there with my pet peeves.
Vile.
What about ketchup and potato chips?
No.
No.
Are you Canadian?
No, they like mayo and everything.
No, they do ketchup on potato chips. If you dipped a chip in mayo, I'd be like, all right, that's cool. But if you say you dip your chip in ketchup, no.
Though a friend of mine does call potato chips portable hash browns. And in that scenario, it kind of makes sense.
Are they? I feel like they're forcing that.
Well, they eat them
Like,
for
don't-
breakfast, and I called them out on it, and I'm like, are you eating a bag of Lay's at 8:30 a.m.? And they said, these are portable hash browns, you dwarf bitch.
Don't try to make fetch work. I don't think portable hash brown is really a thing.
No, it's not a thing. It was a question that I posed. I'm not someone that does
Oh,
that.
well,
Are
thanks
you
for
saying that
clarifying.
because we like violently oppose?
I could give two fucks. I
don't do that.
I do what I do, and I don't care. But I knew someone in my life that would have potato chips and ketchup, and I would be like, but how does that work exactly?
If you were to dip it in something besides like a chip dip, I think like maybe.
So do you
like
get
ranch? Maybe I don't
do you
know.
get the tater tot dip, or do you do the French onion dip?
French onion.
I do whatever is available for it. So like I used to go to the Bulldog a lot because I used to work with the owner of the one that was in Northeast Minneapolis. I don't know if you ever worked with him, but going there, they had a few different varieties that had different things for it. But I appreciate multiple different dipping sauces for a tater tot.
Oh, for sure.
Now we're really showing how Minnesotan the show is though, by talking about tater tots.
That's fine. I think we're proud to be a local, show, so that's fine. We could show what
We're all St. Paul boys here, right?
Yeah,
We
we're all
are.
St. Paul boys.
Yeah, so there should be a beer called St. Paul Boy and not St. Paul Girl.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That's Paul Lee, I suppose, but
All right.
We all know what they mean by that.
we do know exactly what they mean by that.
But looping back around to Annihilation. So, when this movie came out, I was initially intrigued. I'd seen Ex Machina. I liked it. Now, have you seen it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Have you seen Ex
And I
Machina?
like it.
No.
So
That
I
is a
sort of
huge
have
no.
like I won't call it a crush, but an admiration of Oscar Isaac. Like, I think he's a great actor.
That movie makes me feel weird ways that I'm not used to.
Right, exactly. So
I mean, if that's what the movie is there to do, to bring up feelings that you're really not sure about, it does a great fucking job.
it
at
really
that.
does. So we could dig into that some other time, but it deals with the subject matter in a way that challenges an audience. So it's one of those movies that it's not a comforting movie. It's really like, it's very in your face with its subject matter.
But I also do have to say that it has my favorite dance sequence in a movie that I've ever seen in my life.
It's amazing.
Too.
So
I'm going to have to watch this now.
So it's on Netflix. Watch it.
Okay.
I promise you, you will have feels about it afterwards because it deals with AI. It deals with what is it to be a person and independent. It deals with romance. It deals with things, and it does it in a way that's not really. It's not like Her. If you remember, like the Scarlett Johansson narrated movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
Don't remember that. I'm largely out of touch with pop culture.
I specifically
movies.
didn't want to watch that movie because of Joaquin Phoenix and how weird he is now.
Right. So, anyways,
he's gonna be the new Joker.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
He'll
that?
probably make a good one because he is so weird.
True.
I think like his family was in some sort of weird like hippie cult.
They were in a weird like hippie incest.
Yep.
Like child fucking cult. Yes.
Right.
And he was born with a cleft palate and had to get like corrective surgery.
Yeah. Mr. Hairlip.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that is more like a positive. Her is more like a positive like view of what the future is going to be, where like you form a romantic attachment to basically an AI. Ex Machina is like not that at all, and so it deals with AI. It deals with having a relationship with, is it inanimate? Is it because it's artificial intelligent? Is it a person? If you have feelings for it, what does that mean? What does it mean to be human at that point? And it doesn't end well. And I always love movies that just don't end well.
So what does it mean to be human?
Fuck, let's not get into that.
Life sucks, and then you die.
Is that just a consciousness thing?
Yeah. So Annihilation has a similar vibe to that it gives you feels. So I initially was kind of turned off because it has Natalie Portman in it, and it's just
okay. What's your beef with Natalie Portman?
I don't know. There's certain movies that I like her in, which is like maybe two, which is like Leon the Professional and maybe Black Swan, where she goes like her character goes batshit crazy.
Oh, yeah, but the very extreme ones, I can get into that.
Yeah,
Okay.
the very extreme ones, but like all the other ones, I'm like, I don't know, like, and maybe it's because they don't utilize her correctly. I just don't think that she's suited to a lot of movies she's put in, so it feels really like when she's in a movie, it feels weird.
Yeah.
So you put her in a romantic comedy, and you're like, it just feels something off about it.
Well,
so anyway,
instantly, I would feel that way about Annihilation. Like, why would they choose this actor for this movie?
exactly. So I was interested because it was from the person who made Ex Machina, but I was like, Natalie Portman, and I kind of forgot about it. And then it came out, and I watched it, and I won't quite say it was a religious experience, but it was like something that was close to, because it went beyond what Ex Machina had done for me. It gave me some strange feelings. So, and one of the things I didn't realize is the person that made it, which is Alex Garland, and this is going to tie into you directly because you have no idea. You have no idea. So Alex Garland started out as a author. So he wrote The Beach, if we remember Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah, a movie I quite enjoyed.
So there was a big controversy when that movie came out because it was like it's his first like post heartthrob like Titanic role.
That movie also made me feel weird on the inside as well.
So, and this ties into Alex. So Alex Garland wrote the book that it's based off of. And he wrote The Tesseract, and he wrote the Coma. Those are his novels. But he wrote the screenplays for The Beach, 28 Days Later,
Okay.
Sunshine, Never Let Me Go, and Dread.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What?
He wrote
Whoa.
the screenplay for fucking Dread, which you love.
I fucking love Dread.
Like Judge Dredd?
Yeah,
Yes.
Judge Dredd.
Okay.
The key or Carl Urban
Yeah.
version of Dredd. So he wrote that screenplay for that movie. So his first directorial effort is Ex Machina, and then his second movie is Annihilation. So, we should have just found some way to do it. I know better now, but So it's actually based off a trilogy of novels by Jeff Vandermeer. So when they're developing the script, there's only one book out. It was just, I think, the outline, so it wasn't even fully done. So there's a big difference between the finished trilogy and the movie itself. It was made for like $40 million, and when you look at the movie, like it's beautiful. It's you have a thought.
Like seeing the trailers and everything for it, because I didn't see the movie, but just seeing the trailers, I felt like this was like a big special effects, like a lot of things. It would have been more expensive than that movie.
So the special effects are actually mostly kind of in the background. So they do a lot of things in it to make it seem otherworldly that are very subtle, that kind of subconsciously cue you to something weird is going on. So it doesn't hit you over the head with the special effects. So Alex Garland did the screenplay. He directed it. And the cinematography, I want to point out, is it's done by Reb Hardy. And it's one of the most, again, it's a super beautifully shot movie. I would say it's in line with like Blade Runner 2049. Like how it's, I suppose you haven't, have you seen that movie? No?
I like that.
I like that.
I like that.
So,
not the fact that
I just
you
watched
seen
the very
it.
first Harry Potter this week, and I've never seen Star Wars. So
his mind has been officially shattered.
like I'm very out of touch with pretty much everything.
But you know what? You have
and
a
video
lot of
game-wise.
things going on, and that's fair.
True. Like I can
I
identify
have-
trees and bird calls and mushrooms, and
I
my
have
brain
no
is
life.
very different.
And I just sit at home and be miserable. So the fact that you can do that, and I have seen these movies, speaks volumes for
Upon
like,
itself.
how our lives are going.
I think I'm also like mildly narcoleptic though, because every attempt that I've made to go to the movie theater to see a movie, I've fallen asleep within like the first 10 minutes, and that also happens at home. So
To be fair, like movie theaters are kind of set up to be like big bedrooms.
It's very comfortable.
I mean, I think if I went at like 10 a.m., I would be fine because I'm a day person. I think I could like make it through a movie at 10 a.m., but like you bring me there at 5 o'clock and I'm fucking snoozing. So like,
I prefer like a noon movie.
yeah, there we go.
Is this
strictly-
after you had your 3 p.m. dinner?
Yes, this is, yeah. Yep, this is,
You're just skating right into senior special life.
I feel that way. Like I've played my game of bridge, I've eaten my pie, I've had my coffee, prune juice, whatever. And I can stay awake.
Fair enough.
I have seen Blade Runner.
Okay, there's
So there's some.
so
I had to see the new one after it was released
that's a
because I loved
whole-
the original one. So
and I will say that I love the new one just as much, and maybe appreciate it just a little bit more for a different reason.
I'm with you on that one. I feel the same way.
yeah.
So,
Oh, all three of us. Wow. Yeah.
so the music
about
was
that?
done by Ben Salisbury and Jeff Barrow. Jeff Barrow is a member of Portishead. So all of the people that are involved in this movie are all part of like some prestigious, well-known act outside of movie making or part of movie making. So like it's very well executed, crafted. Like when you watch the movie, it's not a cheap knockoff. It's not. It doesn't play to cliches and typical movie tropes. It really defies your expectations of what happens in movies. And obviously, it has Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and like she's had a resurgence, obviously from like The Hateful Eight onwards. It has Gina Rodriguez, who's part of The Virgin or whatever, some TV series that's really popular. I was like, okay, that's cool. That doesn't really do anything for me. Tessa Thompson, who was in Thor Ragnarok, as the Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie. Okay.
Yeah. So she's in that, and she's been in a lot of really cool stuff. You've probably not seen any of them. It's cool.
I'm
Anyway,
so
she's
lost.
she's an actress that's really, really good at what she does. And then, like Tuva Novotny I think some Scandinavian actress, and then of course Oscar Isaac. So Oscar Isaac usually is like a cue to me, like, oh, I should maybe watch this. So have you played through The Last of Us at all?
I didn't play it, but I watched my friend play through all of it. So I've experienced the game. I just wasn't the one in control, but I know everything that happened through it.
So I would say, like, as far as tone goes, it's like seeing a movie adaptation of The Last of Us.
So things are pretty miserable.
It's fucking awful. So neither one of you have seen it. I'm gonna do a summary in a non-spoiler sort of way, because I think the both of you should experience this movie. So basically what happens is that Natalie Portman's character is part of a team that gets called into doing an expedition into a shimmer. So what happens is a meteorite hits the Earth, it strikes a light tower, and there's this weird, like, almost like oil slick aura, and it's expanding. Her husband's been missing for a year, and he mysteriously shows up. He gets sick, and she goes to basically investigate what's happening. And so she's part of a team, an all-female team. So that's another interesting part of this movie. There's Oscar Isaac, and I think maybe a few flashbacks of some other male characters, but it's all a female-led, driven cast. Like, all the heavy lifting. So, like, that was really cool. I thought that was refreshing. So the movie makes choices that are, like, in contrast to what popular movies are doing. So I'm always for making different choices and showing different perspectives. So she's part of that investigating, going into the shimmer, and fucking weird shit ensues. And so it's a movie that makes you question, like, what is it to be human? What is love? You know, what drives us? And the movie is really... I'm always a fan of a movie that is from the perspective of an unreliable narrator. So you see a perspective from them, but it's maybe not actually what's happening in real life. So this movie, where the narrator is actually the person that's telling it, you can't quite rely on them to what's actually happening. So
it's a biased narrator then.
It's ambiguous, and you don't really know what's happening. So it's one of those things where it's Natalie Portman, and again, it was really hard for me. Like, I liked her in V for Vendetta, I liked her like in a few other things, but for the most part, like, it wasn't necessarily like a great draw to me. I'm like, oh, Natalie Portman, I gotta watch this movie.
I like when she did her rap with The Lonely Island.
Yeah, that was a great
Saturday Night Live.
I think she did a follow-up to it. But I'll say, like, all the acting is naturalistic, almost subdued. So there's no over-the-top, melodramatic acting that's going on.
But
like,
yet
feels...
it's not monotone and boring
No.
or anything like that.
So there's some really scary shit that happens in this, and there's some shit that's monstrous. And I feel like all the reactions are, at least from my perspective, like, real, from like what a real person would, how they would react to it. And there's a bunch of, like, it's one of those movies, it's not quite like Fight Club where, like, you have to watch it again, like, the first time. Like, you saw Fight Club for the first time, and then you're like, what happened? And then you have to rewatch it to see the clues. It's not as extreme as that, but you go back to watch it again to see if you could pick up on what's happening. There's not a huge twist in it. It's not an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Good.
There's no...
Thanks for that.
Like, not everyone is dead at the end of the movie, maybe. But it has an ending where you're like, wait a minute. Like, there's a lot of subtle clues. They put a lot of time and effort into showing things visually, like clues that you don't pick up the first time you see it, to inform you of what's actually going on in the movie. So, again, I highly recommend it. It's a movie that gave me feels at the end, and I wasn't really sure. Like, I was really uncomfortable with them, and I'm like, this did a good job. If I feel weird afterwards, like, I know the movie's good.
Nice.
I didn't even know you had feelings.
Neither.
Well, maybe it's just feeling singular. Maybe it's just one.
One feeling.
I have a feel. and that's it.
One interesting thing I know about this movie is in other regions, say like Europe, it was like direct to Netflix that it got released. And like here it got released in the theater, but in other areas it was direct to streaming stuff basically. And there was a whole thing about like they weren't promoting it correctly, they weren't putting, the investment in it that they should, and that kind of thing.
It's really one of the best acted, executed, shot, scripted movies I've seen in a long time. Again, I would say like the best vibe I have to it is Blade Runner 2049 and like Ex Machina. It's like it's in between those two movies. It's not a huge like sci-fi spectacular a thing. It's really sprinkled to tell the story as opposed to like is just this thing for you to like ingest. So everything's in service to the story. And so I think in that way it's like it's too smart for general audiences because I wouldn't say too smart. It doesn't clean up well at the end. It's ambiguous. It lets you come to your own conclusions and questions like what actually happened and really challenges you to be like, what is human? Does it matter? What is love? And it really portrays love.
Baby, don't hurt me. No more.
Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. So anyways, Annihilation. It's a great movie. See it. Experience it. It's sad it didn't do as well as it should have. But it's one of those movies that I think...
Is it too thinky and smart for its own good? Is that why it didn't do well?
I think it's a little too meditative on the human experience. And not in a way that's like feel good. Like it challenges the audience to be like, hey, there's aspects of our behavior that's not good, and maybe we should change it. And not in like a James Cameron like Avatar kind of way, like polluting is bad. Like
I like how you just made like a jack off motion when you just were saying that
because
too.
That is a form of pollution.
Yeah. Yes,
but I mean that's like self-masturbation. Like my movie is like making it as a message, and I'm gonna jerk myself off.
Yeah. While his movies are technically very well done, they're very self-masturbatory a lot of times. I watch Avatar, but sometimes I have to tune out to the story. Like just put the movie on mute and just watch the movie.
All right.
Do you not feel? I mean, what's your feels on it?
I wouldn't want to watch it at all. I've seen it, but I don't. It's dumb.
You don't enjoy the visual spectacle that goes over your eyeballs?
It just reminded me of Fern Gully.
Well, yeah, it was totally a ripoff on that.
It was totally a ripoff of Fern Gully.
But
and that Mel Gibson movie. The fuck was that?
Apocalypse?
Yes.
Apocalypto.
Apocalypto.
Did that movie come out before or after Avatar? I don't...
Before.
Huh. I didn't think about that.
I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure it was before.
I think it's before.
I think it is too. But I don't know shit about movies, so you should not listen to me.
No one should listen to any of us, but they do, so...
What do I know?
I do know what good movies are.
I suck the heads off fish.
Well, yes.
I prefer Gennaro's, so what do I know? That's what I should have said.
Yes. I prefer Gennaro's.
I would do that. I'm a pescatarian.
There you go.
So, the other thing I want to talk about is the new Sacha Baron Cohen series. And there was a lot of, like, hubbub of political figures, public figures coming out and basically being like, I got duped into this series by Sacha Baron Cohen to preemptively, like, try to, like, smooth over the dumb, reprehensible shit that they got caught filmed doing.
Like a cover your ass tactic, a CYA type
it doesn't
thing.
So and I'm not really like, I like the Dialogy show, I liked Borat, I was but I'm not like a fanatic about it. Like he's as cringeworthy as he has funny moments, so it's like take it or leave it for me most of the time on his stuff. So like I had heard like enough political figures like getting fucking bamboozled by him that I'm like, maybe I should check it out. Because he did like an interview with Sheriff Arpaio, who was like the toughest sheriff in America, who had he said he had concentration camps.
Who designates the toughest sheriff in America?
Well, it's America. You can just self-proclaim anything, and it's just true.
That's what it is.
So there's a lot of public figures that were coming out, because he interviewed Sarah Palin and a lot of these other folks, and they're he's reprehensible, he's terrible, he lied, he tricked us into doing these things. So I'm like, I guess I'll watch it. So the premise of the show is digging into Trump era America and what that is. So he actually has, I think there's 6 different personalities that he portrays. And I will say this, that dude could do accents and characters like nobody. Because if you think about, he's got Borat Bruno and Diali G as 3 distinct personalities from the past. He's got his other acting things that he's done. But now he whips out 5 other characters that are completely different from each other. And they're basically all the worst attributes of any particular group of persons. So he's got one... It's Billy Wayne Rudick Jr. PhD.
So when you say that, I'm assuming you mean American person.
Some of them are American, some of them are foreign, because he plays in. So whatever, he always juxtaposes his personality to the person or group of people that are afraid or hate that group of person. So he always plays to the worst of people. So he has he plays a far right conspiracy theorist, citizen journalist, and he went so far that he created a website called truthbrary.org 3 or 4 months in advance to him filming the show, just to give himself extra legitimacy. And he just plays the worst right-wing conspiracy nut possible, and then interviews Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders has no fuck it. That interview is not really entertaining, because he's just you're fucking stupid. And he has a character called Dr. Nira Comangecello. So he's a far left.
I like how you watch the series, but yet when you're reading it out, you're not sure how to say the name.
Because I'm drunk half the time when I'm watching it, and so I'm not paying attention to how they say their names. But so basically, he's a PhD, far left lecture person on gender studies, and so his whole shtick, this character's shtick, is he goes to the Deep South and interviews he interviews Trump delegates, and he looks basically the character is a far left New York Jewish person who has a life partner and is not married, and his children are Malala and Harvey Milk. And so, and he goes into these places and have a dinner, or he goes to Arizona and he presents a proposal at a town hall meeting to bring $300 million into this town in Arizona. He doesn't tell them that he's bringing a mosque into a heavy Republican thing. And then he he does all the triggers. He goes, it's partially funded by the Clinton Foundation. And it sets these people off, just fucking going crazy. And it's typical Sacha Baron Cohen shit. People are saying completely racist, ridiculous things on camera and reacting to this character. He's got another one, Rick Sherman. So he's not American. He is a British person with a speech impediment, and so he goes to a art gallery showing to get his work looked at, and so they get a little bit of his backstory about how he's an ex-convict, he's been released, he's found art as an outlet, he's looking to show his work, so he's interviewing this woman to show his artwork, and of course there's always these ulterior motives going on. So he slowly explains that he became an artist from protesting the security guards by drawing on the walls in his feces. And then one of the security guards says, that's actually pretty good. And then he says, here's some of my artwork, and shows it to the lady. She's, oh, these are very like simplistic drawings, things like that. He's like, yeah, I did this in my feces. And he goes, that white is the semen from my bunkmate, and I took the semen from him when he was sleeping. And and so this person is having to like, yeah, that's really great, that's amazing. And then he goes off camera for a bit and he goes, I made this portrait of you, and he says it's from his feces.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But like the problem being is like she's playing into it, like, oh, this is amazing, this is brilliant, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And then at the end, like, this is a common theme for Sacha Baron Cohen, is he asks for some of her pubic hair for a brush of his, and she fucking does it.
Wow.
On camera.
Wouldn't you?
Maybe.
I mean, if you had any.
I was going to say that, so thank you for being the one who said that.
So, and he's got another, like, Aaron Murad, who's an Israeli anti-terrorist expert. So, like, he plays into, like, the NRA people. He gets people to say some fucking crazy shit. So his whole shtick is he's trying to get the character doesn't think arming the teachers is good enough. He wants to arm the children. So he gets these congressmen and political figures to film a video of instructional video to teach children how to shoot weapons. And so, like, they create, like, these stuffed animals and put them on guns. It's an absurd, and they're like, it's such an like, to
it's
me,
all
like,
completely out of control is what it sounds like.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, for me, I feel like in any one of these situations, I would lose my shit. Like, I would absolutely just, like, I would laugh and be like, you're not serious. But all these people play into it, except for Bernie Sanders. He's fucking tough, and you don't have time for that shit. And then he gets Sheriff Arpaio to basically, like, say he would receive oral sex from Donald Trump. So somehow,
Who would want that? Who?
So what he does is he plays,
he's kind of like a bottom feeder. Maybe he'd be really good at it. Who knows?
Oh my god.
So what he does is
I would shit on his face.
You
might like that.
Yeah, seriously. So he plays a Finnish YouTube personality where his whole shtick is he unboxes things. So, like, he's in this, like, over-the-top European, and he's got this Finnish accent. And he's, like, first starts out about talking about jobs to Arpaio. Like, hey, you're retired. Would you have a job? Would you get a hand job? And, like, he uses his accent as a way to, like, get him to say, yeah, I would definitely get a hand job. And then he starts saying, like, well, what about a blowjob? Would you get a blowjob from Donald Trump? And he goes, yeah, I'd absolutely get one from Donald Trump. And, like, during that interview, like, Sacha Baron Cohen looks at the camera and, like, I got you, motherfucker. And then he's got one other personality. He plays Gio Mondolato. He plays an Italian billionaire, playboy, fashion photographer. And he basically goes after these reality television personalities. And there's some woman from The Bachelor I don't really follow. Like,
is it the one from here in Minnesota?
Becca? I've been watching that whole season.
No, I don't. It's not. I think it's from last year. It's a woman he interviews, and she's doing a fashion show, and, like, he's getting her to, like, participate in a charity and, like, superimposing her photo in, like, the Ebola outbreak.
Not the same one.
No, it's not.
It's not the one from here.
So he's trying to get her to admit that she's part of, like, fixing, like, certain problems or being at, like, the Ebola outbreak. And she's like, well, I wasn't there. And then I think the thing he gets her on is, what was it? Arming child soldiers. So that's the thing she chooses to endorse. So she's like, arm these child soldiers, and they'll send you a pic of what they're using with the weapons you provide them. So, like, they show a child's picture of, like, blowing someone up with a bazooka or killing someone with a knife, and she's, like, fully endorsing this thing. And there's another thing where he's interviewing the most premier yacht maker in the world, and he's basically alluding to the fact that he has Assad as his guest on this, and then like he's getting a oral sex from his assistant, like he puts a blanket over his waist, and this guy is like, well, what about turrets? Is there a safe room? Can you, like, how do we get rid of refugees? And it's absurd. It's just as cringeworthy as it is entertaining.
Just like all of his other movies.
All of his, I would say it's right in line with everything he's ever done, but is more time relevant to now.
So what you're saying is that you love him.
I don't know.
It sounds like it. I'm getting that vibe.
I'm getting that vibe.
I'm conflicted about it because like the premise is really like, I don't like gotcha, like tricky sort of things, but then again, if it's revealing the truth, gotcha. If it's revealing terrible people,
a very fancy artist.
Yeah. Anyways, I found it to be funny in parts, cringeworthy in other parts, but I couldn't not watch it.
Provocative.
Is provocative. Is funny. It's one of those things, I think it's funnier as time progresses. Like when I first saw Borat, I didn't think it was that funny, but when I thought about the movie, I thought it was funnier, if that makes any sense.
I had to watch it twice before I appreciated it, because the first time I was like,
what the fuck?
Right. And then when they're chasing each other around with the fist dildo,
yeah.
and then it was a little bit better.
Yeah, then it was better because I understood that, but the first time I was like,
I feel it's the same way with this series. Like it's so harsh, and like I wouldn't wish those circumstances on anyone. Because there's one episode where he plays the Israeli like intelligence officer. He gets a congressman to say the N-word on film. Because basically what they're doing is he's training how to defend against a terrorist attack. So they're doing ridiculous things like showing gay porn. Like he puts like a...
What?
Of course.
Right. So he puts it on a shield and is chasing someone around, or exposes his... So he's getting this congressman to drop trow when a terrorist has a gun at them, drop trow, point his ass at them, and like lunge at him ass first. And that's going to protect him from a terrorist.
This gay man is coming at me.
How is this?
Clear out! It's a butthole.
It's such an absurd... Like, the premise is so absurd. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would lose my shit if this happened to me in real life. I'd be like, you are not real. But this guy does it. And he says some of the worst things you could possibly say. And he's an elected official right now. And he says...
Somehow I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, Anyways, it's provocative. It's interesting. It's one of those series that,
What is it called?
Who is America? It's on Showtime.
Okay.
It's definitely funny in some parts. It's really cringeworthy in other parts, but it's certainly it's entertaining nonetheless.
Best man.
All right. So we have anything else we want to cover? Go over? Anything else you want to add? Subject? No.
Nope.
So it's been
Unless you want to question me.
Until next time. This is Eric.
This is Kyle.
This is Jam.
Thanks for joining us. And you'll be hearing from us next week. Bye.
Bye.